Welcome back. I have a question to ask you, first of all. Did you ever find yourself in a situation where the unexpected happens? That seems to be part of life, doesn't it? Life, in many ways, doesn't often go in the way we expect it to go. In fact, life itself is often full of many surprises along the way. A big surprise for me has been in my search for God. I decided at one time to look beyond the presumed places of God's presence, and I found God in the unexpected. I found God in the wounded and the discarded. I found God in the surprise. And during my search for God, I remember hearing a voice that called my name. And I wondered if I would have discovered this God sooner had I paid attention to the call, if I had paid attention to the voice that speaks through the voices of maybe the voiceless. I decided not only to continue my search for God, but I decided to continue my search to hear the voice of God as well, a voice perhaps that often goes unheard of or ignored. And maybe we're surrounded by too much noise that we really can't hear the sound of God's voice. What did Jesus do? How did he hear the message received from God? I think that first Jesus sought the place of silence so that he could listen to the silence within. And Jesus went to the desert to hear the voice of God. Of course, that's not always possible for us to go to a desert, but there is a way to flee from the noise without and within so that we can hear the Lord calling us. And then I asked myself the question, well, is there a difference between sound and noise? Noise seems to be everywhere. It can be described sometimes as an unwanted sound, especially when it's disturbing and disruptive. And studies have actually shown that noise can actually increase stress and can cause all sorts of health problems. Sound, on the other hand, can be comforting and can bring to mind feelings of safety or comfort or even joy. It could be a piece of music, it could be a person's voice, or it could be a sound that brings to mind a memory lost, forgotten, or long forgotten. And the world today is so full of noise that we can't hear or distinguish God's voice. It is sometimes then difficult to hear the sound of God's voice if we're bombarded by noise from all different directions. And today, the noises that we hear, there's the sirens and the horns and the beeping of store scanners and the vehicle backing up and the roar of the engines and the hand blower in the restrooms and the digital ding of an email message, the chatter and bellow of words and words coming out of voices that yearn to be heard or helped or healed. There's the constant noise that muffles the voices of the voiceless. And there's the sound within our own soul calling for inner peace and comfort, which remains unheard of because of the chatter going on in and around us. Yes, God calls us to enter into the silence of our own heart, to flee the noise within and without, so that we can hear truly what the Lord God has to say. There may be times that we're afraid of what the God has to say, or maybe we're afraid of the silence. Maybe we're afraid of being alone. Maybe we're afraid of what we would hear, not God's voice, but maybe another voice or a voice within us saying, you're not good enough, or you don't deserve that job or that promotion or that friendship. Or maybe the voice is surfacing a memory that has been long hidden but never completely forgotten. And in the silence, it comes maybe to haunt us. So how can we stop the noise around us so we can hear the voice of God speaking to us in the silence? We must first learn to make friends with the silence, and then it no longer becomes the enemy. And if we can't find our center, we will find God waiting. And if we find that center, there will God be. We need to learn not to fight the distractions and the inner voices, but befriend them and then let them go. One by one, let them go. And then let God do the rest. Then we will begin to hear the sound of God's voice. And the voice will be clear in its words and its message, but the voice is saying to us, "You are my beloved. My favor rests in you." That is the voice of God speaking to you. Thank you.